Hello, Steve@89. Well, I finally watched Mockingbird Lane, the 2012 reimagining by Brian Fuller of the Munsters. It had a fairly bad word of mouth from the beginning. The idea of reimagining the Munsters and trying to make them a realistic family of monsters living within a community and people don't know they're monsters, and just being so far removed from the original family, the original concept, didn't really sit well with people. It was shown on the 26th of October 2012. It got, I think, 5.4 million people watched it, but it didn't get picked up as a series, and I think it was attached to Grimm or something, or it led into a episode of that or something, but it didn't really go anywhere. It actually wasn't as bad as I thought. I just watched it. I've had it for years, and I've been meaning to watch it, but just hasn't happened. I was surprised by some of the cast. I knew Jerry O'Connell was playing Herman, and he just looked like a regular human. I sort of thought, well, that's boring. Portia de Rossi was playing Lily Munster. I never knew she was in it. I saw a photo of the cast and didn't recognise her with dark hair and probably just the photo. Charity Wakefield is playing Marilyn Munster, and she looks very much like Marilyn from the original series. Mason Cook is playing Eddie Munster. He doesn't seem to fit as Eddie Munster at all. Eddie Izzard is playing Grandpa, and he is very much like Bram Stoker's Dracula from the 1993 film. I think he's sort of based more on that. The episode starts off with a bunch of kids at camp, and a werewolf basically attacks them. It looks brutal. It looks like they're being killed, but they're actually not. They just get out of it with scratches. And then we see little Eddie coming out of the bushes naked, and you know that he's the werewolf and he doesn't know it. So they chalk it up to a baby bear attack, and we sort of realise that Eddie doesn't know yet that he's a monster. He doesn't sort of understand, but he seems to know who Grandpa is, because Grandpa is just not afraid to be a monster. He's like, though he hasn't been drinking from people for a long time, you do see him shapeshift and kill animals, and sort of explain to Eddie the circle of life and all this sort of stuff, because they're trying to prepare him for being a monster. Now Herman actually has a couple of big scars across his neck where his head was attached. He's got a zipper that opens up his chest because he has a heart that's partly mechanical, and I don't know, it's supposed to be sort of realistic, but it's not. I mean, obviously you can't have someone with an open cavity that you can just pull hearts in and out and plug them in and that. So they're sort of playing with fantasy. I'm like, well, if you're going to do that, why can't you make it more like the original? I thought they were going to try and be like realistic. Okay, there's no real monsters. How do you be really realistic with a monster? But you know what I mean. So that was sort of surprising. Now Lily can shapeshift as well. We see her. She starts off as fog, then she turns into a naked body, and then she has all these spiders that appear, and then they weave a dress for her, because Lily did say that her dress was made out of spider web at one point in the series. She doesn't really dress like Lily. She's got brunette hair, but it's not black. There's no streak. Like I said, Eddie doesn't look like Eddie. He looks like a really sort of nerdy sort of kid. Marilyn looks like Marilyn. Jerry O'Connell, I mean, if you're going to have these big cuts and stitches along his neck, why couldn't they have one across his forehead as well? He didn't have to have the flat top or head or anything like that, but they could have at least had the scar in the same place, because he's got two scars on his neck. I'm like, well, one makes sense, but why two? So Herman apparently is having problems with his heart, and Grandpa hasn't fed for a while, and Eddie's about to learn he's a vampire, so they're just moving to San Francisco. They find a house that belonged to a serial killer, and it's about to be torn down. They buy it, they move in there. Eddie's a member of the Scouts, and they take him to a Scout meeting, and they meet this guy, and they sort of, Grandpa decides that they're going to sacrifice him. They're going to use his heart for Herman, and he's going to drink his blood. So they invite him around, and eventually Eddie just says, look, they're going to kill you. And Marilyn's like, is that happening tonight? And then, yeah, so she's like, you should go. And he almost gets out, but then Grandpa appears as some sort of winged demon monster at the front. He walks in, and the guy walks backwards and falls down the stairs and dies. So they didn't actually kill him, but he dies. They take his heart, they drink his blood, and Herman tells Eddie that he's a werewolf who is now a vegetarian. So that's the end of the episode. Oh, they also give him Spot, who is a dragon who can be invisible, and he's supposed to look over him for when he turns into, a werewolf each month, each full moon. So that's where they end the episode off. They use the music a little bit here and there. The house is gothic, but it doesn't really look like the house. Eddie Izzard looks really scarred and old, but not really like Grandpa. Like I said, more like Bram Stoker's Dracula. Herman just looks like a regular person. He doesn't sort of look like... It's just got the scars. I don't know, it sort of works more than I thought it would. It was more enjoyable than I thought it would be. The characters were more likeable than I thought they would be. I'm surprised it didn't get picked up because it's not as bad as I'd always heard, but it still isn't really what people wanted. So I guess that's in the end what they sort of decided that no, it's not what people want. They want a continuation, not revitalization, revival of the Munsters, what people have been wanting. They don't really want a reboot, a different version of, because it's not the same. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Yeah, surprised it was as good as it was, but still not the Munsters. So I see why it didn't get picked up. I'm kind of glad it wasn't. It would have been interesting to see what they'd done with it as a series, but I mean, it really only works as the original Munsters was. When you try and make it serious but still keep it sort of safe for prime time and a little bit kid friendly, it doesn't really work. So yeah, I'm glad I finally saw it, but yeah, not sure how I feel about it. I think on its own it could have worked, but as a Munsters series, no. But yeah, I'm gonna go.